So I just met him. He, they had the live stream and it pointed out that he is originally from here. So, um, I thought he lived in D.C. So, I mean, I doubt every time I meet somebody if they're the real ones or not. That's why I'm so like casual with them. You just dressed up like this. If it had been the real one, I might have been. Well, it's like, hey, I'm hugging him. Hey, but I do love his work, and I love Mother Angelica. So, Rita Rizzo to Mother Angelica, 1923 to 2004. Mother Angelica's journey started on April 20th, 1923, in the red light district of southern Canton. It was there that Rita Rizzo, a chubby child with a full head of dark hair, was born to what could politically be called a dysfunctional family. Her father, John, was a tailor and a well-practiced Lothario. Her mother, May, was an elegant woman with the gift of gab who envisioned herself far away from the Italian slum where she had been born and raised. On that day, Rita was baptized. Her mother placed the child on the altar of Our Lady of Sorrows. Looking up at the image of the mournful Madonna, swords thrust through her heart, May said, I give you my daughter. From that day forward, the child's dance with suffering and faith would be intense and yield more beneficial results than ever she could appreciate. John had physically and verbally abused May long before Rita's arrival. By the time the child was 5, her father abandoned the family and would not return for 2 years. May and Rita were left to fend for themselves. For a time, they lived at May's family home on Liberty Street, but family squabbles and May's pride drove the mother and daughter to live in temporary housing and launch a series of laundry businesses that went nowhere. Little Rita grew up fast. As the girl struggled to make sense of why her father had abandoned her, May's emotional state deteriorated. Rita bore a double burden, anxiety over her own well-being and deep concerns about the stability of the only parent she knew. Shortly after John Rizzo resurfaced in town, May filed for divorce in 1930. Mother Angelica, once she had a memory from this period that conveys her state of mind as a 7-year-old. Due to space limitations, I did not include this story in my biography. Mother Angelica, the remarkable story of a nun, her nerve, and a network of miracles. The largest, and she did it for Evangelical Television Worldwide, EWT, Evangelical World Television Network. She started in a garage in Alabama, a convent's garage, and became the largest cable evangelical, preceded everybody else. So all the evangelism and all the television evangelicals owe their abilities and reach to Jesus, as she would of course say, but Jesus called her first. So I did not include the story in my biography, Mother Angelica, the remarkable story of a nun, her nerve, and a network of miracles. On March 10, 1931, Rita's grandfather Anthony, dressed in a suit and vest, saw the child in the kitchen of the family home. He placed his hands on Rita's rounded shoulders. She stared up at the old man, her eyes like two black marbles, her mouth a tight slit as if she was holding her breath. Rita, we're going to the courthouse, her grandfather said gravely. You pray that the judge lets your mother keep you. Anthony patted her on the head, and then his wife Mary and May vacated the house. Well, I was petrified. I didn't know my dad that well. I hid behind the icebox because I didn't know where else to go. Relaying the story to me decades later, Mother Angelica sounded like a frightened child. When my grandparents and my mother come home, they were calling for me, and I wasn't going to answer. So my grandfather says, Rita, Rita, where are you? No answer. Finally, he must have caught on, so he says, the judge says your mother can keep you. Well, I shot out from behind the icebox into my mother's arms, and that's when hell began. May Rizzo spiraled into depression. Even 3 years after the divorce, she could not let go of John Rizzo. Mother Angelica told me how the mere sight of her father with another woman could send May into a rage. We were at Lake Myers with a friend. We were walking on the boardwalk, and Daddy came along with this woman. Well, my mother went bananas. I was crying. It was just one horrifying experience. When we got home, she got a horse rope, big and thick, braided and rough. She carried that rope to her purse for over a year. She said if she ever saw him again with anybody, she would let him have it. I remember anytime we went downtown, I was petrified, absolutely petrified, because I knew what would happen if we saw him. Um, anyway, I always enjoyed her, but I went the evangelical route. Well, I worked for a Presbyterian ministry, and then I got charismatic in the Catholic Church. I continue to go to the charismatic Catholic Church every week, but on Tuesdays. But then anyway, I had circumstances like Rita where it's just easier to go to the evangelical churches. We all love Jesus. The last church I joined officially was a Christian Methodist Episcopal, and I do their communion from 2008 to 2011. I did it every day. But then the Lord was he gave me a lot of communion miracles at home alone. So it is his body and it is his blood. So I'm Catholic in spirit. And I had a lot of miracles happen, Divine Mercy and Kinner. But I had started with Father Cuddy to get completely right. I went to church every day in Waveland, a beautiful St. Clair church, and I didn't know she was a St. Clair nun. But anyway, since then, when I moved to Gentilly, and I was supporting, because I had some money, EWTN, I've always had her picture up on the wall. You can see it right there. And I swear the Lord lets her laugh with me and stuff like that since she went home. She's truly a saint, because I've seen two saints in my life. You don't have to talk to him, but I'll be talking to Jesus and I'll look over and she'll laugh. She's hanging out with Jesus. So, and I'm watching evangelicals get up to Catholicism, but you don't understand it. And to build your churches, you all were told that they did horrible things. Well, yes, there are Gnostic Catholics that they are heretical, and the Catholic Church has fought them. I have insight into this last Pope. Well, the whole Catholic Church knows the last Pope is going to be bad. They know that. But, excuse me. I have a Catholic foundation which prevents you from being, as the word says, being blown by every wind of doctrine. And I went through a period of 7 years of being blown by every wind of doctrine. But what always centered me was the sacraments. Sacrament of marriage, it's a sacrament. It's, and we're society going through, society can define marriage however they want. And we didn't have representatives on the Supreme Court, so there's no way you're going to get what you want. But that's because for 100 years we've been a secular society. So, and it's a contract. Again, I would say Marbury versus Madison, like Roe v. Wade, Doe v. Bolton. The Supreme Court can come down with the decision based on their secular ideas. For 10th Amendment, federalism. But for the last decade, they've tried to eliminate federalism. They took it out of Westlaw's teaching books. Federalism is very important. The state laws, which actually in 1984, the Commerce Clause came all the way into the state decisions through a case that has New Orleans in the name, and destroy the due process for state decisions on businesses. And really, locally, businesses prosper by the local laws, not not the federalism laws. So that was really destroyed federalism. But for us, our country to continue to prosper, federalism has to be put back in place, and the 10th Amendment has to be upheld. And uh, so it should have been brought up on equal protection in contracts, the decision to create marital contracts by whomever, by consenting adults, and then leave the sacrament of marriage to the church. And nobody listens to me.